Here we are.
Here
yes,
we
sir.
Give me a thought that you've been thinking about recently.
I've been thinking a lot about zombies recently.
Yes,
you might have a few zombie films thrown your way.
Yeah. Okay.
In the coming weeks.
Nice.
Yeah.
I look forward to that.
I just find it very interesting. I'm certainly not the first person to say that like monsters in horror films always have like something in the background going on philosophically and psychologically as to why that's something that we find scary.
Yes.
And at first I thought zombies were like pretty uninteresting. I was just like, oh, it's a person who's died and then has come back. That seems pretty like simple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I was looking into it. And it's actually like quite interesting. There's like a lot of interesting ideas going on. Have you seen Dawn of the Dead or like those George Romero films?
Yeah. I've seen. Oh no.
There's Land of the Dead too.
The Living Dead, is that one of?
I think that's a different director.
Oh, okay.
But we're gonna get fucking roasted for this.
Yeah.
But yeah. But
it's not my remit. So don't
but that's in my watch list because I'm very keen on watching it. And yeah, just kind of like learning more about zombies. I find it really interesting. So I guess that might be my Halloween costume for this year.
Okay, yeah, that's your hyperfixation of the moment.
The
horror moment.
The seasonal fixation.
Yeah, okay.
I've been playing a lot of Resident Evil. You know Resident Evil?
Yes.
You know the new one came out?
Yeah, I haven't played it.
It's
but
very scary.
Fuck
dude.
me, it looks terrifying.
It is very, very scary.
I don't know
indeed.
if my heart can handle it.
This is interesting. I'll get back to your thoughts in a second, but it's completely unrelated, but it actually isn't. What do you think about like first-person perspective for storytelling in like audiovisual format, right? Because like in that game, in Resident Evil 9, you play as two protagonists and you can pick which perspective, but one of them is like by default first person.
Yeah.
And I usually don't like first-person games.
I remember you saying.
What do you think?
I really like them. I mean, I think. Did you watch Nickel Boys that came out last year?
No, you told me about it.
Yeah, that
and
was
I wanted
like
to
all first person like film, which is the first time I've seen that, and that was so cool.
I think I know what our next thing could be. I have an interesting idea. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway.
No, I enjoy it. I think if in the right context, if it's used well, I'd really enjoy it. Like I was obsessed with Outlast when I was younger.
Oh yeah, you showed me.
That's all like first person, and like you're seeing everything through a video camera, and like you can choose whether to film or not film something. I think that was really interesting. The kind of like spectator kind of commentary that was like thrown in. Of like, oh, you might be like in this horrific situation, but you have to like prove it. I thought that was like really cool. No, I do like it, but I do know what you mean. Like when I play other games, I like being able to see, like I'm playing It Takes Two at the moment, which I told you about, and I love that you can see the characters like hopping and jumping, and like, but they play with the angles in a really cool way, so you can see like really wide shots, and you get like really like great kind of world building through that.
Weirdly, I think that's my problem. Kind of like field of vision, right? Because when you look at a screen, you're looking at a certain rectangle. And that takes me out of the immersion because I can see that outside of the rectangle is my living room.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Whereas if the character is in front and it's in third person, then it's like I'm looking at a movie, right? It's like I'm watching a scene from a movie rather than pretending like I am that person.
Yeah. I think it can be more immersive when you're not playing from the POV perspective. But with certain games, I think it does work to kind of... Especially if it's the kind of game where you like have to figure something out, or you're kind of trapped or lost. It's like, I think it's helpful.
I mean, I agree. It's going back to Resi 9. We're on like nickname terms. Resi and me.
Resi.
Resident Evil 9. I changed the character. Her name is Grace. She's by default first person. I changed her to third, but then very soon after I changed it back. So I was like, no, I kind of want to like experience it. So I'm warming up to to the vibe.
Yeah, okay. That's cool.
So anyway, that's what I've been thinking about. Zombies and
Nice.
first person versus third person storytelling.
Wow.
What about you?
You're so cultured. I wish I was.
Bro, fucking talking about Resident Evil? What are you talking about?
That is culture. Honestly, I've been thinking about how I don't have enough time to watch movies recently.
Absolutely, dude.
It's been really bumming me out. I feel like when I went into this working phase, I was like, I'm going to have so much time to watch movies. I'm going to watch like 2 every day. And then now that I'm in the swing of it, obviously I work with the children I work with from like 3 till...
Yeah, kind of the evenings.
Till the evening, yeah. 3 till 7 or 3 till 9. And when I get home at 7, I need to have like dinner, and then sometimes I watch a film if I have the energy, but sometimes I just want to like read or like play video games and then go to bed.
Yeah. And if you watch a movie before, which is you have the time for it, that means you don't have the time to do
my work time.
Other stuff.
Yeah.
Work time, gym time, chore time.
Yeah. Like
no, I get
before I get the kids, that's when I write, that's when I edit, that's when I like work on the film. So I don't really want to be watching films in that time, because it feels like, I only have like this limited time to do all the other shit. So
no, I get that.
Yeah, I've only been watching films over the weekends. It's been kind of like, that's annoying. It feels like, I don't know, it feels like there's always something you have to sacrifice within your routine. Like, when I was at my old job, I could watch a film every night. But it's because my work was so creatively unfulfilling that I needed that more. That now I'm doing like creative work that is fulfilling during the day, but I also have to balance it with like jobs that I have to do to pay the bills. It's like, there's always something, and I work out less. And, it's just... Yeah.
I do believe that life, for me, and maybe for you as well, is kind of like, when it comes to films, a bit of a rhythm between intake and output. Sometimes the intake is a lot. Like, there was a time when I was watching like 3-4 movies a day. Bro, I was doing nothing all day, like giga stoner vibe. This is before I discovered the gym as well. So all I was doing was sitting in my like dark little man cave, smoking weed and watching movies, bro.
Yeah.
And honestly, kind of a
It's a vibe.
Kind of really cool. That's kind of when I fell in love with Kurosawa. You know, the like mental dullness that like repetitive smoking does. It opened my mind to so many things, because before I was so like action, blah, 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 blah. And then when I was like, no, maybe like Yasuhiro Ozu, he's got something.
He's got something to say. It's
so like, I was watching like 3-4, and now I'm the same as you. Like, I like watching movies, and yesterday I enjoyed watching one during the day, but it was definitely like I have to wake up extra early, get all my chores done by this time so that I can watch the movie and then go to work.
Yeah.
So
It is. It's just hard.
But
like,
how many days a week do you work right now? Sorry, this is just like we're literally not talking about schedules. But tell me, how many days a week do you work right now?
With the kids, it's 4.
Okay.
3 is usually sometimes it's just 3, but recently it's been 4.
It's been 4, yeah. I mean, I guess sometimes what it takes is, because right now I work 7 days a week. But I'm starting next week, I'm going to 4 as well.
Yeah.
And part of what it takes is like a little bit of discipline as well. Because my partner was saying like, don't do anything at first, just enjoy that you don't have to go to work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, absolutely. But at the same time, I want to be able to watch movies, so it does have to be like a certain level of discipline.
Yeah.
I want to go more to wrestling. I want to train more. I want to watch more movies. So like, be a potato. But also, like, make sure to get your own time in.
Yeah. It's hard. It's so hard to balance.
It is.
And when I look back on the times of my life where I was able to watch so many movies, and that was like, I had the time to allow to make that happen. I'm like,
when we were at film school, dude.
Yeah.
My God.
What a blissful time. And you take it so for granted. Yeah. You really do.
And also, like, why weren't any of our peers watching movies? We had nothing but time.
We really did. Yeah, it's crazy. But we talk about this all the time. We went to one of the only film schools where people just didn't watch films.
Well, I don't know about that, because in the Mexican film school that I went to before, people also didn't watch films. We had to watch films, a lot more films at school.
Still watched. Maybe that's because you were just watching more films at school. Because you had classes like dedicated to film watching. We didn't have that at our London film school. Yeah. And I even hosted like a cinema club to try and get people to watch more films. And no one turned up.
I did go a couple times.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, but like You were in the year above, so it's okay. But like nobody in my year came.
Your peers, you were like, guys, wake up.
I was like, guys, this is so embarrassing. I'm just sat here by myself every week.
What's a movie that you discovered? I mean, to spread some positivity. What's a movie that you discovered through the London Film School that you like was a surprise that you enjoyed?
Oh.
I'll tell you mine. It was Nosferatu. Of course, I knew about Nosferatu before. I mean, obviously, it's really famous German expressionist movie.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and guess the year, 1932, I believe.
Yeah.
And we were watching it, and I was like so enthralled. I was so scared. I mean, I was a little bit high, but so were my friends, and they were also bored. But I was like, "Oh my god, you guys! Fudge, it's going down!" I really, really enjoyed it, and it made watching the more recent remake really kind of like rewarding because I was like, I like both. Cool. I like both versions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you watch that film in class? Like.
No, it was homework.
Oh, okay.
1922.
Wow, that's wild.
I was off by 10 years.
Close though.
Still
close. Honestly, I don't remember that many classes where we were asked to watch films.
Great. I think it's because the one person who cared about, like the one director, like course leader who cared about watching movies, yeeted out of the course very early.
One of my favorite teachers who taught my favorite classes, which was the film theory and then history, he left quite early on. So I remember we did Spike Lee, and then we did like Ozu, and then we did I think that was the main.
You didn't have Nosferatu?
No, we didn't do Nosferatu. Shame. Then they cut that class. So honestly, I cannot say that there's one film that springs to mind. But I can remember films that like I discovered while I was there, like that I still like think about and still. But like I think in terms of like forming your own taste and stuff.
Sure. Yeah. You know what's interesting? We should get into the movies recently, but you know what's interesting? Before I joined the course, they sent me a watch list of films that they recommended.
Oh, I got sent that. Yeah.
I think we should kind of go through them.
That would be so fun.
And see what they were trying to tell us.
Yeah. Actually, to be fair, from that list, I did discover some great films.
Yeah?
I remember loving Brick. I loved Brick.
Oh, cool.
Brick was really cool.
I liked Quadrophenia. I haven't seen it. I liked it.
Yeah.
We should revisit that list. I have it printed.
Oh my god, me too.
We should,
let's look at the list. Yeah.
Anyway, that's something for later.
Memories.
But earlier you were talking about kind of like the work situation and how it is, and I think that's the perfect segue to talk into today's topic.
Which I selected as my birthday kind of theme.
Happy birthday, Emily!
It was my 27th birthday. Pretty tragic. Yeah.
I mean, we've all been there.
We've all been there, yeah.
Do you, last question before we actually get into it. Do you feel 27?
I actually do. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I do. I don't think I look it. I don't. I'm going to say, hopefully, I don't look it. I'm not tall enough. Although someone yesterday mistook the kids that I was looking after. They thought I was the mother. And I was like, you think I look old enough to have 3 kids? One of whom is 11 years old.
Damn.
Like, wow, that's rough. That really hurt.
That's rough.
But I don't think I look 27. I feel like I'm often told I have quite a baby face. So I'm gonna cling on to that. But yeah, I do feel 27. I feel like in terms of experience and like lessons learned over my 20s, I'm like, yeah, that feels about right. Like I've kind of seen a lot of shit, and I feel like.
Damn.
Yeah.
She's been places.
I have been places. Places that I wouldn't necessarily choose to go, but places that I've been taken against my will.
Bro, I'm almost 30 and I feel 21 on a good day.
Yeah, that's good.
I feel 17 most of the time.
Yeah, that's how you want to feel.
I talk to teenagers because of my job coaching and whatever, and my husband has to remind me, like, you're not one of them. And I'm like, no, I totally am, dude. What are you talking about?
At heart. That's what's important to remember.
Anyway, yes, so we're talking your birthday
my birthday theme, yes, is Working Girls, which I chose precisely because of the conundrum that we both find ourselves in right now.
True.
You know,
we are both working and we're both girls.
Yeah, we're both working girls, and I think Working Girls kind of captures that idea of like you're doing a job, but you have other hopes and dreams, and the job is a way of getting to that point, and Working Girl kind of encapsulates that idea of like the balance between dreams, between practicality,
and also like specifically, yeah, and also specifically with women, what does work mean?
Yes.
What is the role of work? What's the point?
Yeah.
So yeah, cool. Let's get into it.
Yeah. So the film I chose is Clockwatchers.
You know what I'm gonna say.
I know what you're gonna say, and I don't want you to say.
I have to. I must.
Do you want to just get it out?
Clockwatchers, let's go.
Oh god. Now that we've got that out of the way.
That's the movie that I watched, bro.
Yeah, I know that's the one that you've experienced, but I'm glad that we could get that out of your system. So we both watched Cock Munchers, and I'm actually dying, in case you didn't know.
Off to a good start.
Yeah, off to a great start. So it was directed by Jill Sprecher. I don't know if you're saying that right. Another one of these like absolutely great debuts from a first-time female director, and then she made like one other film and then never did anything again.
Really?
Which is classic. I feel like there were so many female directors around the kind of 90s to early 2000s that were like given the opportunity to direct, and then it never happened again, you know.
That sucks.
Really sad. I'd love to see what else she would have made, because I'm in love with this film. But Clockwatchers is a really, really brilliant film about these 4 women, and they all work in this office, and they're all temps. And it kind of begins following the perspective of one girl, played by Toni Collette.
Yeah, her name is Iris.
Iris, yeah. And she joins this office, and she's just temping there, and everything's a bit lonely and dull and boring. But then she forms a friendship with 3 other girls that work in the office. One of them's played by Parker Posey. One of them's played by, what's her name?
Lisa Kudrow.
Lisa Kudrow. And the other one, this like Bob lady that I can't remember her name.
I don't know. I know the character names.
I'll put it on the screen.
Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, she forms friendships with these 3 other girls that all temps in this office, and they just form this like lovely kind of camaraderie as they get through the kind of daily boredom of just being in this office where they're not really treated very well. Nobody really cares to know who they are.
No, they just
do all the bitch work, basically.
Yeah, and the boss lady literally says like, "Where's the other one?"
Yeah, she doesn't even know their names. Yeah, so it's very much like stripped of any identity or like sense of purpose or humanity when they're in this office. But then things take a turn for the worse, where a new girl arrives at the office and she takes a permanent position. And
which is what they all
want. Yeah, so they're like, who is this new girl and how come she got this permanent position that we weren't told about? And then after this new girl arrives, things start going missing in the office, and there's like an office thief, and people start having various things stolen, whether it be like a mug, and then it goes to like a wallet and to a scarf and like a, like more precious things that are more missed by the office workers, and it kind of creates this really toxic culture of like paranoia and judgment, and eventually all the girls are driven apart by this like corporate kind of toxic culture. And
because all that is directed specifically at them. It's like everyone who's like a permanent worker, since the higher ups they know them, they're like chill around them. But around the girls, they're like hawks.
They're the first suspects. Because they're not permanent members of staff. Like they're all like subject to this really intense scrutiny and judgment from everyone else, and that they must be the ones that have been causing this. And it eventually like pushes them all apart, and their friendship completely deteriorates. And by the end of the film, it's just Iris who's working in the office, and like everyone else is kind of left or moved to other departments. And it's like a really, really smart starts like off as a comedy and a kind of like female friendship kind of vibe, where you're just like, oh, these girls are really great and funny, and they kind of play pranks on other people around the office, and they're just silly to get through the day. But then everything takes a really dark turn, where you see what capitalism does to people and what it does to these women. And
welcome to the Bread 2 podcast. We're talking about capitalism.
We're talking about capitalism.
Let's go.
The big C. And it just like it completely destroys their friendship. It destroys any solidarity. It kills their hopes and dreams and their sense of self. And it's about how they try to survive this and rebel against this system and like maintain any sense of hope and purpose. And I just absolutely love this. I relate to it so much the more and more.
Yeah. When I was watching it, often I was thinking of you.
Yeah, it really is.
The experiences that you've told me about, that you've gone through over the last few years. I was like, damn, it's really rough out here.
It's hard, yeah. And one aspect of it that I find the most upsetting is the way that we're all kind of pit against each other in this like really competitive kind of culture when we live in like a scarcity kind of mindset where there's never enough work, there's never enough opportunities, there's never enough money. It slowly puts everyone against each other and you start to like turn on each other whether you intend to or not. And I've had a few jobs in the last like 5 years or so of my working life where you form friendships with people in offices or like within certain jobs, and then because of the culture that they create within those jobs or within those industries, people will turn on you or start acting really coldly, or like you lose friendships, or you start to like grow jealous of each other or resentful because other people might be succeeding in a way that you're not, or given opportunities that you're not. And I just think, that's the saddest thing, where like you only really have the solidarity with the people around you when you're trying to survive these jobs. And this film really looks at what happens when that solidarity is taken away from you, and you're not allowed to connect with people anymore because it threatens.
It's very interesting, and I think before we get into the working side of it, we should talk about the friendship side of it, because I think there's a lot to say there. That's roughly your time. Should we? That's my time. There?
Yeah, let's go into your time.
Bye bye. Okay, before we get into like thematics and stuff, I just want to say the movie is gorgeous. It's so visually beautiful, and usually we say that a movie is like pretty and beautiful to look at when it's like lush and like extravagant and like really like OTT in terms of style. Because even like Wes Anderson, who claims to be simple or like very like straightforward, there's a lot of construction going on, sometimes literally. But this movie is so simple visually, and it is delightful to look at.
Especially when you think that like 90% of it takes place in an office. In a really dull office with strip lighting and
I'm gonna say it goes for a similar aesthetic to Punch Drunk Love. And I like it more than Punch Drunk Love. I mean, visually speaking, I think it's more successful because it's like bright colors. It's like almost graphic design in a way, because like it's very simple silhouettes, very graphic colors, very striking color combinations. The costumes are really cool. They really tell a story, especially with Iris. I'm gonna get back to her because I have a lot to say about her costumes. But like how they complement the environment around her. I think visually, an absolutely beautiful film.
It really is.
In its kind of like simplicity. Wonderful.
100%.
Wonderful stuff. But moving past that, before we get back to that later, I just want to say also like the movie takes place in the 90s, and it's a very 90s film. It's 1997. Shout out. It's like wait, you were born after 2000?
No, I wasn't. I was born in 99.
Okay. I don't know math, so I'm gonna take your word for that.
I am. Trust me.
I believe you. I believe
I've got a birth certificate to prove it.
Almost every week, I have to ask my husband what year is it, and I have to ask him how old I am. And I'm honestly shocked to hear the results every time.
Oh, you poor thing.
It's information not worth keeping around.
Need to know.
Anyway, this doesn't affect anything later, so I'm just gonna bring it up now. The acting in this movie is like insane in a good way. Like, these people are freaks. There's this shot towards the beginning where they're like kind of like establishing how everything is really slow, how nothing really happens. And there are these flowers standing like on a counter, and this guy just walks up, takes a petal, puts it in his mouth, and walks away. Does not elaborate, never comes back, and I'm like, you goddamn freak.
I love that. Because it's even though they're in this office that really like tries to kind of homogenize everything, you can see all these like shimmers of individuality that kind of like just like burst through.
And Iris speaks about this. She says how like oftentimes people are looking to the future, or people are like so worked up in their ambitions and their goals, that they don't really often realize a lot of stuff that's happening right in front of them.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's
one
that
of them.
freak is one.
Yeah.
Really and actually, cool. Speaking of Iris, I want to talk about. I usually am not the biggest fan of voiceover in film. I just think it's like, I think it's fine. I think, it can do it, but I think often it's just a bit lazy.
I feel the same. Yeah.
However, in this movie, I thought they did something super interesting. So, especially towards the beginning, Iris is very self-contained. She's not extroverted. She's
very insular.
Yeah, she's like a bit insecure. Like, the first thing that happens is that she goes to the office where she has been told that she has a job, and she is left waiting for 2 hours, bro. Rough.
Yeah.
Rough. So yeah, she like keeps to herself. Wait, where was I going with this?
A voiceover. Yeah.
Oh yeah, thank you. And she has a diary where she writes, and in that moment at first I was like, okay, cool. So then I get why there's a voiceover, because it's a character who doesn't externalize their feelings very much, but we do see her putting them out somehow with that writing, and I was like, okay, good, pass.
Yeah.
And then later, that diary gets stolen. And I was like, that's like double good, because now it's like those feelings that were internal have been made external because there's someone else who has access to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're no longer just internal monologue.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I was like, it like double makes it double worth that it's a voiceover.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
It's
good job, Miss Jill. You got me. You got me.
Yeah. I also like it as well because it shows the evolution of her character before we've seen it. So like we see straight away that she's really shy and really reserved, but through the voiceover it like hints at all the development and all the turmoil that's going to happen at this office, and kind of lead to a different version of herself by the end of the film. So we can kind of see that from the beginning, like there's this clash between who she is right now and who she's going to be at the end of the film, and how this office is going to change her. And I like that you see that from the beginning.
She's like, we're all good friends until
for now. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, again, a little kind of like structural thing, which we can pick up again later in the other film, because that one also has a bit of voiceover.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to highlight it because I usually hate it, but in this movie I was like, good job, you guys. Yeah. You done good.
Flying colours.
Going really quickly to the visuals, the DOPing. Yeah. I think like they do portray how in this place they're all lit by fluorescent light, god awful light.
Yeah.
But they do make it look like a bit chic. So I think it's like the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Where they show how like horrible it is, but it's also not horrible to look at.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
So yeah, just good job. All right, cool. Oh, also favorite quote from this movie were corporate call girls.
Yeah.
Mwah.
Miss Parker Posey, she really knows
Delightful.
how to say
All right, cool. I should get on to my movie. Okay, so I don't know why I chose this movie, honestly. I'm glad I did.
I'm
but
so glad you chose it.
we finally got to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
But to give you a little bit of context, you had asked me, like, what movie did you pick? Because I hadn't written it down.
Yeah.
And I had gone for a different film, a very different film.
Yeah.
And then this Saturday, I was at a wrestling competition, and I was like, you know what I want to talk about? You know what's on my mind? Little Women by Greta Gerwig. Yeah, all four of them. They're going down.
Going in the ring.
Yeah, so I was just thinking about Little Women by Greta Gerwig, and I was like, let's talk about that instead.
Yeah.
And I think it was a good call. The other movie is good. We will probably bring it at some other point.
For sure.
But for now, let's talk about Little Women, Greta Gerwig. What year did it come out? 2017? 19? I'll look
remember.
it up. You remember like it was yesterday.
I really do remember like it was yesterday.
Before I get into the journey of it, 2019. Did you like this movie? Like always?
Always.
Yeah?
I really did. I watched it when it came out. I saw it in the cinema. It was glorious.
That's the one.
It's absolutely glorious. And I've seen it many, many, many times since then. And it never fails to like comfort me and just fill me with joy.
That's good. I'm with you now. The first time I watched it, I didn't like quite enjoy it.
Really?
But I think it's because I wasn't like truly engaging with it. I was just letting it just like wash over me.
Yeah.
Because I was like a little bit taken by the spectacle, because the movie is also beautiful to look at, right? So I was just like a bit just like a passenger on the ride. And this is the third time I've seen it, and it's every single time it's just been like growing more and more, going up and up in my valuation of it. Yeah. So I quite like it. I'm glad I chose it this time.
Yeah.
Again, no idea what brought it on, but yeah. So you probably already know what this movie is about. It's based on an old novel from who knows when.
Louisa.
Yeah.
Alcott.
Louisa May Alcott.
Yeah.
It takes place in the 1860s, so 130 years before Clockwatchers, which is interesting. Let's keep that in mind for later. And it follows the story of one girl who's got three sisters. They're all characters, but like Jo is the main character. She wants to be a writer, and she's pretty good at it. And she's just kind of like going through life, figuring out how she's going to achieve her dreams and what her role in the world as a woman is. The four sisters are Jo, Meg, Amy, and Beth. And they all represent kind of like a different aspect to womanhood. And in some ways, almost all of them, talk about work and kind of like what the position of a woman is and what their their ambitions can be, because it's not always very clear. And I'm kind of rambling because the story is not as important. It's like a lot of vignettes, and you get to see a lot of different situations. And weirdly, it made me think of another movie we've spoken about. Take a guess which one. The structure of it specifically. The way that it goes into like something happens and it makes Jo think about something else, and then we see that in the past, because it's got like a dual timeline where you see the present and then you see around 7 years in the past, so you see where they are now and then what happened before.
Babel?
No, I knew her well.
Oh yeah,
because in that movie, Stefania, what's her name, Adriana? Whatever. Yeah, Adriana. She also like sees something that reminds her of something that happened to her, and then we get to see that scene.
Yeah.
Like there's a scene where they Jo finds a post box that her on and off love interest made, so she goes to see it, and then we get to see the whole backstory of how that came to be there.
Yeah.
So yeah, a very interesting timeline, which explains itself at first, right? The first time that we jump back in time, it says 7 years earlier.
Yeah.
But after that, it doesn't tell you. It's up to you to notice where the girls are, what they're talking about.
Which is so funny because she got so much, like Greta Gerwig got quite a lot of shit when this came out, of people being like, it's too hard to understand, like it's sloppy, like it's messy, like it's so confusing. And I never once watched it and struggled to figure out which timeline was happening. Like it's so obvious, like not only from the story but visually, like everything in childhood is so warm and fuzzy and like has this like yellowy hue to it, and then everything current is cold and dark and like dry.
Yeah, and also the characters are usually in different places. Jo is back at home only in the past, pretty much. Amy is at home only in the past, and in the future Jo is in New York and Amy is in Paris, for example. So if you see them there, you know where it is.
Yeah.
And then there is a time when Jo comes back in the present. She comes back to her home, and then she has like a very big character change. She cuts her hair, so you can just see, does she have short hair? Present.
Yeah.
Very easy.
Very easy.
But I do suspect that a lot of people engaged with it the way that I did, in which they don't really like invest in it. They just sit back and watch it without like, kind of like involving themselves in it. That's my theory as to why. Because same thing. When I first watched it, I was like, but now I'm like, no, good shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know if you want to talk more about the plot or something, because we can talk about more like specific things here and there. I just want to say my favorite quote of this movie is, "My reaction indicates that you are a pompous blowhard." I was like, yes, good.
I do love that.
The dialogue in this movie is spectacular.
Stunning. Yeah, Greta Gerwig is the only person that's allowed to adapt.
To speak?
to speak, yes, but also to adapt great novels and then add in her own lines of dialogue, and it still matches the quality and like tone of what's being said. I love the opening title card where it says, it's a quote from Louisa Alcon, it says, "I write jolly little tales because I've had lots of troubles," or something. And I feel like I just love that. That's just like, that's it. That's just what writing and being a writer is, you know?
True. I was kind of reminded of you as well of this movie because you do also write kind of like about your life. And it's something that I'm starting to experiment with a little bit, but always a little bit fantastical because me, stick with reality? Absolutely not.
Never.
No, sir. Okay, cool. Before we get into it, there's just something like insane that just literally right now sprang up to me that both movies share, which is that doesn't really contribute to the theme, but it's like weird that both movies have. Both movies are weirdly meta, right? Because the end of you watch Little Women and you're watching their lives and stuff, and you know that Joe is writing, and then you also know that Joe is writing a story based on their life.
Yeah.
But you don't really get to see her thoughts on it. You just know that she's doing it, especially towards the end. Yeah. And she's just like writing, and she's like got ink on her fingers, and she's like, "Oh, it's so much work." Oh.
I love that montage. Yeah, the writing really montage.
Yeah. Saoirse Ronan.
Yeah.
Amazing job.
Beautiful.
And then in the kind of like the very last scene of almost the very last scene, she's gonna go pursue this guy who I think she thinks they belong together, that they're really good.
Yeah.
And it suddenly cuts to another scene in the publisher's office where she says like, no, they didn't get married in the end. And the publisher is like, what do you mean? Like, that doesn't make sense. And he basically convinces her to write it so that they do end up together and they do get married. Yeah. And then you get to see that play out.
Under the umbrella.
Yeah. And she's like, whatever, bro.
Yeah, sure.
So like it's kind of weird meta because that one scene or like couple of scenes at the end throws the whole movie into kind of like an area of ambivalence where you don't know if what you watched was reality or Joe's telling of that reality. In that way, Joe serves as like a stand-in for Louisa May Alcott. Especially because the first shot and the last shot, the first one is Joe standing in front of the camera, back turned toward the camera, head bowed, like gathering her strength to go to the publisher and ask to sell her stories.
Yeah.
And the last shot is her from the front, hugging her book as it's getting printed.
Yeah.
And I was like, mwah.
Beautiful.
Love the symmetry.
Yeah.
Now, if at first glance, Clockwatchers, not meta at all. It's just about these characters and they don't have any interplay. But they have this clock on the wall that they watch because they're clock watchers.
Yeah.
Bazinga. And as you said, at the end of the movie, all the friendship group has been disbanded, friends no more.
Yeah.
And Iris is left on her own, and she's kind of decided that she is like her whole deal for the whole movie is that she doesn't make an impact on life. That she just kind of like goes and drifts by and no one notices if she's even there.
Yeah. And
she decides to make a stand to be like, no, I was here. I do matter. This is important. This is my life. This is my voice.
Yeah.
And the very last shot, she looks up to look at the clock, but that's where the camera is.
Yeah.
So effectively, she looks up at the camera. And I wrote in my notes, I was like, OMG, she looked at the camera, bro.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It is so good. I do love that ending.
So in a way, it's like meta in that way, in the sense that like the character is like engaging the public in kind of like, I think the very same way as Knights of Cabiria, where she's like, this is my journey, take notes.
Yeah, she's not allowing herself to be spectated upon and to allow herself to be like just a subject. She's like, no, I am taking ownership and
like if Joe is saying like, this is my story that I'm telling, we're left to like believe that what happens after the movie of Clockwatchers is Iris' story. It's like this is her story and she's telling it. And I'm like, good job.
Yeah, that's so true.
Anyway, let's talk about. I actually haven't given you any time to speak about Little Women yourself. So, do you have any thoughts before we get into
Well, I mean, just another thing. They're both about 4 girls.
True.
Yeah, which is
both about 4 girls. Women do tend to come in quartets.
They do come in packs. I really like this interview with Greta Gerwig where she was talking about how she pitched for Little Women, and she said she went into Amy Pascal, the producer's office, and she said, I want to make a film about Little Women, but it's about money. That's what she said it was about. And I think that's really interesting because, yeah, both are about, like you said, social mobility and money as a resource and the things that women have to do to reach their dreams and to create a life for themselves. And sometimes you have to sacrifice certain things to be able to have the life that you want.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that we see mirrored in the characters in both films in really funny ways. Like you look at like Meg, and you know, she's like my dream. She was wanting to be an actor and to be on the stage, but she puts that aside because she realizes that she wants to have a family and she wants to be married, and that's more important to her. Mm-hmm. And then you see one of the characters in Clockwatchers, played by the lady, I can't remember her name. Jane.
Her character is Jane.
Jane, yeah, the character of Jane. And she also is the only one from the group that's like about to get married, and you know, the girls will make jokes and kind of comments about how like, oh, it's fine because you don't really have to work here because like you're just going to go and get married and you've got this like
to a guy with money,
you're fine, like you've already got a guy. And then there's like Lisa Kudrow's character, and she has like a pregnancy scare throughout the movie, and she really wants to be an actor, and her whole kind of like running kind of gag in the film is that she's like very boy crazy, and she's constantly trying to get attention of boys, from boys in like a really interesting way. You know, she'll kind of be walking on the bus and she'll be like, oops, you know, and like bash into them, or like you know, she's just quite like mischievous and like very cheeky. But that journey for her is also really sad to watch because she wants to be this actor, but you also realize that most of that dream isn't going to come true because she has to leverage her kind of sexual power and in order to be able to get things from men, and that's kind of how that she's formed this like kind of identity form herself. It's kind of based around that, being able to leverage that to get what she wants, but she's not actually getting anywhere because she's still stuck in this job, but she still believes that she's going to be an actor even though everyone kind of knows, oh, these guys are just like using you. You're not really doing this.
Of both movies, of the 4 girls, which one like do you kind of like relate to most, or is your favorite?
Well, I have to say I am Jo because I'm the eldest of 4 girls and I'm a writer.
Oh, I always thought Meg was older.
Meg is the oldest, but I am Jo because writer. I like to think. Out of
You're also Scottish, and Saoirse Ronan is Scottish.
She's Irish.
Oh, close.
Both ginger though.
Yeah,
my former ginger era. Clockwatchers, honestly, I mean, everyone wants to be Parker Posey, but no one is that cool.
Yeah.
I think I am Iris. I think there's a former me that was Iris.
Yeah.
Like
I see that. Like, not anymore, but like, I see coming from that place.
Who are you?
I think, I mean, I don't know about Little Women. Maybe Amy, because I just blurred out what I think. And
I was gonna say Amy.
I'm like, I don't agree. Fuck you. And I can be pretty petty sometimes and destroy a friend's novel. I mean, you know.
Stay away.
No, I'm kidding. But I would have done that in the past.
Right.
7 years before. In the before times.
I'm glad that we
in the before timeline.
Post to then.
I would have been quite petty, but now I'm like more relaxed. But I definitely think in Clockwatchers, I'm like Lisa Kudrow's character, because what she does to get by through work is perform friendship. She's just like, I'm so friendly, I'm so cool, like everybody wants to be my friend because I'm like giggly and I'm like low-key flirty, and like she's just like a really nice presence to be around. It's like a performance that she puts on. But then when something hits a little close to home, or she has like her privacy invaded, she just like, the fangs come out.
Yeah.
That, you know, when people get a little too close, she's like,
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that was my survival strategy when I moved to London.
Interesting.
So I was like, when I'm watching it, I was like, I relate.
See that.
And even though I'm not her, I do find Posey Parker's Posey Parker's character very interesting because like she is presented as like, oh, I'm the bitch, but she's not a bitch to Iris. She's like, let's be bitches together.
Yeah, no, but she's really important. I really, really like her character and I feel for her because she's the one that is desperately trying to create community and to create like a bond between these girls and to create something that's going to defy the system that they're a part of. She's the one that's like, she sees the importance and the value of them sticking together and how important it is to create like a collective kind of identity between them in order to resist the like corporate identity that's being like forced onto them. And it's always those types of people that are left behind and that are seen as like a biggest threat within those working environments, and they're the ones that are like chewed up and spat back out. Like anyone that tries to resist the culture and the working kind of status quo, those are the people that are just absolutely destroyed. And I feel like I've been that type of character in like certain workplaces before, and it's just it really sucks when you're the one that's like, oh no, but we can like stick together, we can do something, we could stand for something, or we could make a change.
There's a really like heartbreaking scene where she's like, let's go on strike, and everybody's like, let's do it, and then the next day all of them except for her show up, and she gets in trouble for it. She
gets fired for it. It's just really brutal. Really brutal.
Now, before I have like my list of like the real like home runs when I was like watching both movies and comparing them. But before we get into that, I just need a little bit of a clarification on the plot. Who was the thief? Because for most of the movie, you're led to believe that it's the new girl. Yeah. But then when she gets fired, Iris finds some stuff of hers in Parker Posey's desk.
Yeah. No, but she realizes that, you know how she had that monkey when they went and got drinks?
It was like in a little glass from like a martini. There was like a little like decorative monkey hanging from it, which she took with her.
Yes. And then she sees in Parker Posey's desk the same monkey. But then later on she realizes that Parker Posey also took the monkey from that night out with her friends.
I see.
So they both had one. And she just couldn't see hers in her desk, so she assumes that Parker Posey had stolen hers. And then she looked again and realized she still had it. So it's like that moment where she's like, oh, she was also like touched by this friendship and it was something that really mattered to her. And that's why she took that monkey as like a relic and reminder of that night out that they shared together. And she realizes that like, that friendship has been destroyed because...
So the thief is entirely the new girl.
Cleo,
Cleo. Now, I think there's a fascinating scene with her, with Cleo. I can't say it.
Come on.
So when kind of like Iris figures everything out and figures that it's Cleo the whole time who was causing mayhem. She goes up to her, and she reasons that the reason she was doing all of that is because she wanted to be seen. She wanted to make just like all of them, just like the rest of them. She wanted to make a difference. She wanted to make an impact. She wanted people to recognize that she had been there at all.
It was real, yeah. My sister used to be a kleptomaniac, and that was why she did it.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Anyway.
Shout out. Anyway, and it's like a brilliant scene that happens without any lines at all. Iris goes up to her in the lunch area. She's sitting on her own, Cleo, as per usual, because she's not making any effort or having any success making friends. And she sits in front of her. She like lays out her lunch in the same way that Cleo does, and she starts mimicking her, almost to be like, I see you, this is who you are. Like she's holding up a mirror to her, and Cleo is like destroyed by this. She's like, fuck, no.
She's very disturbed.
And that happens in one scene with no dialogue. I was like, mwah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a really like amazing scene.
Yeah,
that kind of was like showed a little bit of also like kind of like a little bit of power and like pettiness that had been that a confidence that Iris kind of found throughout the movie.
And it's also like Iris wasn't that different to Cleo when she first joined the office. Like she was very shy and like awkward and socially anxious, but I think throughout the film they realized that she isn't a villain. She's, you know, just somebody who's been subject to the same kind of corporate loneliness as they have, but she just wasn't as lucky to have come in at the right time and met a group of people to find community with. And they kind of realized that she isn't this like devil. She's just somebody that's equally as lonely and like suffering as they are, and she's just reacting to that loneliness in a different way, you know. Which I found very kind of like true to life moving. Really.
Anyway, let's kind of talk about both movies together, combined, before we kind of actually before we do that, I just want to very briefly talk about the costumes of Iris, because at the beginning of the film, when she's not friends with the girls, she like only wears like neutral tones, like beige and white and a little bit of gray, and it's just like nothing,
very baggy, very just like kind of granny kind of vibes.
And as she makes friends with the girls, she starts wearing different colors, a bit more like flashy, a bit more decorated, you know. Like she starts to take on the personality of the other girls. Like she creates her personality from them. But then when they're gone, she goes back to the beige. She goes back to the kind of cream.
And there's even a scene where someone in the office like pulls her up on what she's wearing and says like, your clothes aren't, like the way you're dressing and the way you're presenting yourself is unacceptable. And she's really bitchy. She's like, oh, I don't want to have to hire another temp, you know.
Yeah, she's like I don't like replacing people.
It's like, you're seriously gonna fire someone over them wearing like,
and it's like an unhemmed skirt,
not tidy outfit, you know. That is just that's
crazy.
So disgusting.
But it kind of goes to show how like their friendship was not really real in my opinion. And like what I was thinking about is that all these girls were like performing friendship in opposition to the structural power that they were under, right? They were all like basically trauma bonding. They were all saying like we're all here together, so we're friends because of it. And then when someone actually tries to like make a change or kind of like solidify that community by, for example, doing the strike, they all chicken out because they realize that their priorities actually like lie elsewhere. And then when the girls go and Iris goes back to the neutral tones, it's like that's who she is. And she thought that it was a bad thing, but that's just who she is. And you know, maybe in the future she might evolve a little bit in different ways, but she's not the girl who wears like blue with orange. You know, and that's fine. But she was taking on the personality of the other girls as a mechanism of survival.
Well, that's the thing, because it is friendship in the office or working environment is a coping mechanism. It's a way of just trying to form any kind of protection against what's happening, in any sense of like solidarity.
And I mean, to bring it back to what we were talking about when we started the episode, when we were talking about film school, I can remember in both circumstances that I've been to film school, friends that I made just because we were both there. Just because we were both, or the four of us or whatever, having like a tough time. And then as soon as we leave, the friendship kind of just like falls apart. You know?
It is very much friends for a season, a reason, or whatever. And I think it's interesting that through their friendship they inflict the same kind of judgment onto Cleo. You know, it's like they obviously all felt isolated and like not welcome in this office, so they formed this little friendship.
Like a little clique.
But like, friendship can also be a way of outcasting and not including other people, you know. Like they're also within this power structure within the office, they're becoming part of the problem by trying to form their own kind of exclusion from others. From this other person,
which I was like, wow,
but it is rough. But it is interesting, like friendship out of necessity and what that really constitutes, because like I've had in some of my most toxic jobs, there are some people where you're like, oh, this isn't actually someone I would really be friends with on the outside, but like while you're there, you consider them to be like a close friend or whatever in your life. And then as soon as I've left those jobs, you kind of realize, oh, their allegiance is with the job and it's not with me, and I'm not going to see this person again because I'm not part of that company anymore, so I don't matter anymore. And I think that's so interesting, how it changes our definition and values in friendship. Survival.
I want to talk about values, but just for the record, this is a work friendship. Like, as soon as the podcast, like, as soon as we turn off the camera, bro, nothing to say.
No. But when we're setting up, it's like complete silence.
Yeah, it's so uncanny. But yeah, we're talking about values, and I think it's very interesting because both movies talk basically about what is like the value of women, specifically in terms of work, and specifically this particular interpretation of Little Women, as you said, is about money and kind of like the social mobility of it. So in Little Women, we are presented with a view of the world where people have inherent value. Like, Joe has a disagreement with Meg because she's like, you're meant to be an actor. And Meg is like, but I want to be a housewife. So they have this like conflict because they both see inherent value in the other. And at that point, it's at odds. But like the fact that there's something there is undeniable for both of them.
Yeah.
Whereas in Clockwatchers, it's all about creating value, extracting value out of people. You know, like these women are not valuable as they are. They are valuable for what they can do. And at the beginning of the movie, Posey Parker even says like, the toughest part of the job, the most important part of the job, is to pretend like we're doing something because we are really just here to fill seats because of the bureaucracy needed for this job. Yeah. So like their only worth in the world, again presented through the movie, not in general, is what they can do for other people. 100%. Like the value they can create. They have little to no inherent value in each other. And I think the one that we can see like trying to bring that out the most is Parker Posey with her little like acts of rebellion and stuff. At one point she scratches like, I was never here under her typewriter. Because she's like trying to will that value where the other girls put it behind having the job. Yeah, definitely. Which is like rough. It's really interesting. Like when Parker Posey is fired, she leaves and she's like, my name is Margaret, like I want you all to remember my name. Is anybody going to say something? And she's like, is anybody going to react or like say anything? Like she's like, I'm being fired for no reason, like this wasn't me, and nobody. And her three friends, bro, anything. Zip, yeah, nothing. Exactly. And I do think there's something so insidious about how like when you're a clog in a big machine, your only purpose is to make another person feel bigger or smaller. You know, it's all about hierarchy and like, does your job make somebody else feel more powerful? Like if you're an assistant, your job is purely to make somebody feel big about themselves. It's purely to boost someone's ego. I've been an assistant to people where it's like the only purpose and function of my job is so that you feel powerful, because you can say to people that you have an assistant and therefore they know that you are in a position of power above someone else and you're a big shot, that you need to have an assistant, even though the job entails very little on my end, you know. And I think that's so interesting with the friendship group between the four girls as well, because they're the same kind of thing to Cleo when she comes in. You know, she's an assistant to someone else, but you know, but they look at it as like, oh my god. Yeah, they think of it as this like huge role, but really all it is like she said, stapling. It's stapling. It's just being a bum in a seat. And it's just, I mean, you see it with that guy who is in charge of all the stationery. And clearly he has a job that's more important than theirs. He's not just like a temp or whatever. He's a permanent member of staff, but he's still trying to assert power and have some sense of like have a sense of like, oh, he's better than other people because he's made himself in charge of the stationery, and he gets to be the one that says you can't have this, you can only have this number of pens or pencils, you know. And it's the same in all working environments. There's all just people that are trying to feel slightly better about themselves despite being so nothing to this company, you know. You are just like a face or just a person who fills a role, but everyone tries to find their way of like asserting humanity and for the record, she's talking about me. She was my assistant. I'm the loser. But speaking of that guy with the stationery, like the world of Clockwatchers presents us with like no control. over our social mobility. That's why he holds on so tightly to this like personality, to this like role
and his
as
rubber band.
the guardian of the rubber bands, the guardian of the staples.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing else that would make him a person.
Same with the guy who has this mug that's got a picture of a naked lady on it, and he gets very stressed out because he's like, my mug is missing, and they're like, oh, what a travesty, your naked
not the tacky ass mug.
Naked creepy mug, but to him that's his only way of asserting his humanity. It's like to all people in an office, you don't really have much besides the way you dress and the objects on your desk to kind of show, I'm a person. And I love that you see that in like you said, all of their outfits. You know, that's how they show, this is who I am.
Because they're all disposable, and they talk about it a lot. They all feel disposable, and they get told that they're disposable.
Yeah.
And they get told that they're also a family, they're also a community. Whereas in Little Women, they are a community, they are a family. So kind of like the conflicts that come up in that movie are they take place with negotiations and like resisting and like perseverance, and kind of like externalizing that self-image and that self-worth that they believe is in themselves. And that's honestly a problem for Jo, because Jo has such a conviction that she can make a change in the world that when her sister Beth gets sick, she's like, I'm gonna fix it. When like, how?
There's nothing she can
She's
do.
a writer.
Yeah.
Like, how is she gonna fix it? And she is conflating an internal world with an external world.
Yeah.
Like an internal self-image with an external one, because she believes she has that much I'm not sure if she believes, but she is aiming for like that much control over her life.
Yeah.
She's so completely mercenary about her thoughts on romance and what role marriage could play in her life.
Yeah.
Really interesting, because like there was completely missing community in one, and just because there's community in the other, that doesn't mean that everything's fine.
Yeah.
They still have a lot of hard times.
I think it's also interesting that for Jo, she obviously wants to be, her whole life she's wanted to be a writer, she's wanted to be an artist, and her whole life she's seen how the traditional kind of milestones and roles that are expected from women are directly in competition and harm her prospects of becoming a writer and being an artist. So her whole life she's convinced herself that she doesn't want to be a mother, she doesn't want to be married, she doesn't want any of these traditional things, because she knows that wanting those things would make it impossible for her to be an artist. Yeah. And I think it's interesting. And
Amy feels that way as well. Sorry for interrupting. Yeah, Amy is like, I want to be a painter, and when she realizes that people are just not that into her paintings, she starts to see marriage as like an entirely economic prospect.
Yeah.
And like social, because it is.
Yeah. But even then, it's like she knows there's that great scene at the beginning where you see her painting, and then you see there's a man next to her who's also painting.
Oh, there's a man?
Yeah. And her painting is far better than his. So we know that she has talent, but she says, I want to be great or nothing. She said, it doesn't matter that I have talent. And I think that's the difference between, that Greta Gerwig is kind of painting the difference between men and women, is that men will be able to pursue something even if they don't have greatness. Whereas for women, you have to be spectacular, great, otherwise there's no point in doing it. So she kind of sacrifices her artistic goals because she realizes, if I'm not great, there's no point, so I might as well just get married, which is quite difficult for Jo, because obviously one of the main conflicts with Jo is that she's put into contact with this man who questions her talent and her skills. He says, there's no doubt that you're talented, but I just don't think your work is very good. And for her, that's like her whole world comes crumbling down, because for her, she knows that she's great, and therefore she can be an artist, and she can, because she's a woman, she knows, but I'll be able to be an artist because I have greatness, you know. And when he says that, it's kind of like, oh shit, that means none of my dreams are valid. Wasted. Because I don't have, because I don't have greatness. And I think that was, that's so interesting. That, her perspective of her future kind of shifts after somebody kind of pops their bubble. But that's really brutal.
And with kind of like the little bit of time that we have left, I also want to talk about like the power presented in the film, because in the both films, because in Little Women it's like presented as outwardly and in no uncertain terms patriarchal power, right?
Yeah.
Like Jo is able, especially towards the end of the film, to put her story out there, but only through the filter of a male perspective, and male approval. Like this publisher has to agree to do things and has to say, do this, not that.
Yeah.
In order for her to be able to put that out there.
Yeah.
So they all like very much find their role as women in a patriarchal world. Patriarchal?
Mm-hmm.
Patriarchal?
Yeah. Patriarchal.
Yeah. Whereas in Clockwatchers, I would argue that like it is also patriarchal because like all of the higher ups are men. But to be fair, they play a very small role in the movie.
Yes, but it's more the men in their personal lives that do.
Yeah, like, the men in the personal lives do.
Yeah, for Lisa Kudrow and the guys she dates.
And with Jane, the husband.
Yeah.
And, Iris doesn't have a man, and good, she doesn't.
Her dad, but she has her dad.
Oh, that's true.
Who's constantly imposing his expectations and like, oh, you should be doing this, you should be applying for this sales.
And I got you this suit because you're going to be doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
And then Parker Posey has her parents, and she's always compared to her sister, and she's got a bit more of like a tomboyish kind of way of presenting, and you can see that that's something that like, just the way she lives her life, and she's quite like a boisterous kind of tomboyish girl. You know, she rejects all advances from men when they go out into the pub. So she's very much defying, kind of fitting into like a traditional
that's a very good call. I didn't kind of like clock it as much that way, but that's very true. But in the workplace, they are kind of like subjected to like this impersonal bureaucratic like evil, right? Where there is no like, Jo has to negotiate with the publisher. The women have no one to negotiate. Power is just like this invisible hand that dominates and controls everything because of the bureaucratic structure, and they have no way of like presenting themselves in any way other than what they want to see out of them. I mean, I guess they do have the option of striking, but when it comes down to it, they don't really kind of like follow through on it. They have different priorities, which, you know, fair enough.
And it's sad that they do have their way of rebelling by not really working and kind of making the most of their time at the office when they have these like cubicled desks. You know, they can kind of like do what they want and like slightly bend the rules. But then towards the end of the film, when they're all suspected of being thieves, they remove all the walls and the partitions, and they just put their 4 desks in the middle of a room in like
with
a kind
security
of
camera right there.
Camera, and it's kind of a panopticon situation because you've got like glass offices all around, so they're just like being constantly observed, and they can't do anything that goes against the rules in any way. Because
and as soon as the surveillance happens, bro, the friendships just like dissolve.
Because they just become completely paranoid that if they talk to each other, they're going to be seen as conspiring or whatever. So that's really rough.
It's such a smart film, bro. It's
smart.
So like clever.
It's
and
really underrated.
When you first told me about it, because you told me about a while ago, I was like, oh, I should watch that. But now I'm like, fudge, bro. Like, this movie's good.
Insane. It really does make me mad that she never really got to make
I wonder what she's up to with her day-to-day life. I hope she's happy.
I know. Shout out to Jill.
But yeah, I guess like to kind of like wrap things up, I think it's very interesting how Little Women is about finding purpose, whereas Clockwatchers is about like struggling to have identity, struggling to be seen. Which is like polar opposites. They're both like working towards the same goal, but from different camps, which I think is very interesting. Or
like struggling to keep a sight on your purpose, you know, because all these women in the office, they have goals, and they have like, they constantly mention like, oh, I'm just going to be here for like a year or two, like I have big plans outside of this, like this isn't my thing. And it just very much captures that postgraduate kind of state where you're just like forced to do a shitty job that you really don't want to do, and you know that, and all your friends know that you're just doing it for the money or whatever, but nobody in that environment knows that, and they all just look down on you and think of you as a piece of shit because they just think, oh, you're just some temp, or you're just some assistant, you know. And that's so rough when like you know your value and like intrinsic worth and purpose and where you're going, and nobody else does, and their vision of you starts to wear down how you view yourself, you know?
Yeah.
I've had that in so many jobs where it's like, I know why I'm here and I know that I'm onto better things, but nobody else knows that, and because of how they're treating me and viewing me, now I'm starting to see myself from their eyes as like some just like waste of space, you know, that's not even got a name.
I saw an interesting interview with this person who was saying that when they're in a situation like that, they actually feel empowered because they're like, I know a secret.
Yeah.
Like, I know something that you don't. Know. And then someday you're going to find out.
Yeah.
But for now...
It's just me that knows.
Yeah. Which I was like, yeah.
It's
My
rough.
parents had a really tough time kind of like accepting that I wanted to make films. They were like, you have to first study something that actually makes money.
Yeah.
And eventually they came around. But I work as a coach now, and a swimming coach. And I... Like now, when I first started, I was like, I need money, and I was like ashamed. Back in the day, I was like ashamed of doing something that isn't film because I'm like, what are they gonna see me as?
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I wish I would have started sooner. I wish I would have started coaching sooner.
Yeah.
Who cares if they see me as this like, oh, you're just like some guy. Like, they don't matter. You know who you are. You know where you're going.
Yeah.
Steadfast.
And I think you also feel proud of it as well, because you're like, I know that I'm supporting myself and doing my best to like make my dreams come true, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Jo doesn't write the stories in her heart initially because they sell, and she doesn't feel shame about that.
Yeah.
She doesn't want her mom to know that she's writing these like gory... We never really get to see them.
Yeah.
But they're probably like too liberal for all better for Jo's mom.
Yeah.
But she still does it, and she feels no shame over it. And I was like, you know what?
She just needs
Jo,
the money.
Get it.
Yeah. There's no shame in that, as long as you are aware of your own purpose and worth. And yeah.
So you know what I think about that?
Yeah.
How was it? You pompous blowhard.
Yeah.
That's what I think about that.
I agree.